Hello, Internet. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this is Unpopular Culture, the only show on the internet that rolls D20s for every important life choice.
Alright, I guess we'll... Alright, that's getting aborted.
And today we're talking about quite a few topics. It's been a couple weeks since we've been back, and some stuff happened. Firstly, big shakeup in the Justice League movie regarding the director. I'm sure you heard about it. Zack Snyder will be leaving the picture for personal reasons, which we might touch on. And the director that got to come in and help out close out the picture could be very interesting for DC's movie universe. Next, another superhero film, Spider-Man Homecoming. The third trailer for that came out. We're going to talk about that, and maybe a little bit about the difference between how Sony markets a movie and how Marvel Studios does the same. Thirdly, Animaniacs, your favorite show from the 90s involving 3 unidentifiable anthropomorphic animals?
Are they animals?
There's something. I don't know what they are. And then that's coming back, so we'll talk about that and potential... That's going to be good, that's going to be bad, whatever. And then finally, Nintendo Switch's online features have finally been priced out and a little bit more detailed, and we'll talk about that, especially since we've talked about the Switch, like, last time and when we had the initial stuff. Both Jake and I have them now, so we have a little bit more insight into it. So, Jake, firstly, let's talk about Justice League, the DC Extended Universe, Joss Whedon, and really sad, uncomfortable things. So here we go.
Okay, so the really sad, uncomfortable things, so they had a little bit of a family tragedy. There was a suicide for their oldest daughter, and it's really sad. And I can't believe I'm not rejoicing in him leaving the picture, the film, because it's just sad. It's really sad, and they seem really fucked up about it, and it sucked. And at first I was like, "Ooh, Joss Whedon," and then I'm like, "Oh, but that's not this scenario in which I would like that to happen."
For what it's worth, I would rather have a shitty Justice League movie than a dead person.
Fair. So, with all that said, Joss Whedon is taking over the end of the production of Justice League, and that's probably a good thing. I mean, especially considering the mental state of the guy that is in charge, or was in charge, whose name I'm forgetting.
Zack Snyder?
Zack Snyder, thank you. I wanted to say Kyle Snyder, which is not his name. This might be his brother. Zack and Kyle makes sense. Anyways, now Zack Snyder is not like... I don't think he's a bad director. I think his shots are well composed. I think the tone is very consistent, and I think... I don't know. It's always very visually good looking. I think his problem's in the editing room. And this is where Joss Whedon typically has been very good. So I think he's in charge of from what I understand, not any major production. Joss is in charge of some reshoots, and I'm assuming he's going to be in the editing room, and he's basically doing
post stuff,
and post production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good. And you had told me before we were shooting this, you figured when he's in the editing room, he's going to be able to basically... I think this sounds so bad, and this is just the reality, though, we're dealing with, so let's call it what it is. This might be close to an ideal situation for the movie.
Yeah.
In that we have a director who knows how to capture visually interesting shots, and then the post-production is being handed over to a guy who knows how to tightly edit a film and have a story and characters that you can follow throughout and be interested by.
And I will say, Snyder does a really fantastic job of bridging the gap between a comic book and a film. Like, he's famous for 300. This is the same guy. I mean, it's never not worked for him visually. It's always been in editing, and this is... Maybe he should have always been on as the back end guy.
Don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sad that I had to do this, but
let's be clear. Snyder isn't that hot of a writer either. But let's be fair.
Well, yeah, but he's not like Jeff
quite...
Johns is on board and stuff. I'm a little more comfortable with it now than I was back in the Man of Steel BVS days. But and Wonder Woman is getting fantastic reviews right now, which is of note. So I think, and I know that's not Snyder, but the universe itself does have like a cohesiveness.
So I'm going to look on the bright side and say, instead of saying we have a Justice League movie, and normally I'd be pessimistic, but considering Wonder Woman's getting good reviews, I haven't seen it yet. I'm seeing it tomorrow, so I don't know. But considering maybe they're starting to steer the ship in the right direction, and although this They didn't plan this. It was an accident. They still picked a good person. So what I'm thinking is, positive note, we have a script for a Justice League movie that has input by Johns, was filmed by Snyder, who can get interesting shots and knows how to film action. Sometimes, I know there are exceptions, but I think overall, I haven't seen a movie by him that I've watched and thought, I'm bored at what I'm looking at, which I know doesn't always mean quality, but there you go. And then thirdly, you have a guy in the editing room who not only is editing, but because he is doing like reshoots and stuff, I don't know if he has any say in what gets reshot, but I could easily see, if he wanted to, Joss coming in and saying, hey, in the editing, yeah, okay, this thread though, this plot thread, this character, if we shot an extra scene with this in it, whatever that might be, it would tighten up the movie and make things make a little more sense, maybe make arcs make sense, smooth some stuff over. I think he's a guy to do that. He's a good I could see him, script doctors. I think Joss Whedon is a good idea for a movie doctor. I think he could come in when everything's said and done and say, okay, but let's tweak some things. And you wouldn't want him for everything. But let's be real, Justice League is about as close to fucking Avengers as you can get. As far as... And the Justice League and DC are very different than Marvel. Yeah, we know. Come on. Let's be real, though. It's like comparing two different Westerns. They might be different and have different themes, but come on. And then finally, I think you said, though, Joss had said, I'm not going to come in and try and change the vision of Snyder. I'm still going to try and carry it through. He's just going to carry it through as the best he can. And I'm going to be real. I think Whedon, with the same exact idea, if you have the same idea on paper, Whedon can execute it better than Snyder. That's all I'm saying. So,
I think so too. And honestly, I don't know. When you're a creative person, and we don't do film, but like we help each other in content in that, like, sometimes I'll have an idea or he'll have an idea and you bounce off and you have a person that says, no, that's stupid, or yeah, that's a great idea, or but what we could do is this. Joss is he seems collaborative in the way he works, because everything he's ever done seems to have this sort of, there's never like a tone break, but there's tone breaks all over Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so, and Suicide Squad fell victim to that too, but I don't know how much of a hand he had in that. But I really think this is a good thing. I think it'll be a much tighter film. I think, I don't know. I think this is exactly what Zack Snyder might need. Not the death of his daughter, obviously, but I mean, as far as his professional stuff. Someone to go in there and maybe make changes he wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah, I think,
and enjoy the movie, and I think he will, and I hope we will.
Yeah. So, with that uncomfortable bit out of the way, let's talk about a fun movie with a guy that sticks to walls and has a fat Samoan friend. Is his friend Samoan? I don't know what he is. Anyway, Spider-Man Homecoming. So the third, I don't know if it's final trailer. I doubt it. Usually they'll say final trailer when they're doing something like that. But the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer came out. And I thought this was a good opportunity to bring up the fact that while Marvel is in control of the filming of the movie, Sony is still in control of all of the marketing because they're getting the money for the movie. It's a weird studio collaboration process. So I think in the style of trailers they have done so far for Spider-Man Homecoming, you can see a clear difference in the ideology of the trailer making for the Marvel movies versus a Sony movie, which is much more typical trailer. In the Marvel movies, especially recently, let's look at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer and Thor Ragnarok trailer for examples. Both trailers that have, I think they got some of the quickest, highest views of trailers on YouTube ever. Both of them. I think Thor actually got a little bit higher, which is surprising considering the Thor movies.
Ragnarok's an amazing trailer.
Yeah, that's a great trailer. It sets up the tone of the film. It sets up there's a problem. It gives you a glimpse of the villain and sets up the stakes with Mjolnir being destroyed. You know he goes to a planet with Jeff Goldblum and he fights the Hulk. But other than that, I don't know what Thor's doing in this movie. Does that make sense? Obviously,
yeah, and that's actually that's a really good thing, because you don't want to go into a movie being like, well, I know all the plot points. Like Ghostbusters did that, which granted not a great film, but they showed you the end. They showed you literally the last scene.
Yeah,
not the thing I need.
So Thor, yeah, he's going to try and get back to Asgard and stop Hela, but how, why, what's his character arc going to be? Don't know.
Guardians did a fantastic job with their trailers, too. I didn't know at all what that movie was going to be. I knew Ego was part of it. But after you watch it, you're like, wow, that was a lot different than I thought going in.
Yes.
It's way different than the first one.
Yes. And then you have the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer, which is much more cut like a typical summer movie trailer done by anyone else.
Sure.
And that is a bad thing, and here's why.
Especially the second half.
Yes, the second trailer, by the way, was the worst at this. The second trailer, if you've watched the Homecoming trailers, or if you haven't, I don't suggest you watch the second trailer. Watch the first one and ignore the other trailers. Second trailer,
it gives you the first through third act arcs.
Yes, it does. The second trailer literally is a beat by beat of the entire movie. I know the entire movie, and that's not to say I won't enjoy it. I still think the acting...
I think it'll be a fun movie.
It'll be fun. But I know exactly what the movie is about. I know what Peter's arc is going to be. I know what Tony's arc is going to be. I know everything. I know the villain's motivation.
He's gonna lighten up, and the training wheels are coming off at the end.
I don't know if they'll come off, but Tony will lighten up on Peter, seeing that he can defeat. I know exactly what's going to happen. Let me spell this out for you guys.
It's rom-com. It's so rom-com-y.
And by the way, if you want to skip this section so you don't also get spoiled, it's only as much as the second trailer spoiled in the third trailer, but it's a plot synopsis, basically. Skip to the timestamp that is in the description. I'll have timestamps for all the topics. You can tell what's going to happen is it's going to start off right after Peter comes back from the battle in Civil War. He's going to go back to high school, not be adapting very well because he was so getting into being an Avenger. He's going to be doing his friendly neighborhood Spider-Man stuff after Tony gives him the suit, but obviously... he wants to do more. Tony doesn't want him to. Peter continually pushing up against him. Meanwhile, the Vulture is going to be having him and the people who work for him, who are going to be the people who are the bank robbers, I'm guessing. I'm guessing one of those guys or someone unshown will be the Shocker.
They have the laser thing.
They will be using technology that they have salvaged from other super events, whether it be the attack from Avengers or Ultron stuff, whatever, and using that technology to be criminals themselves. Spider-Man will be onto this, tell Stark, and Stark will say he'll handle it with the Accords, but Spider-Man, of course, doesn't want that. I think Spider-Man at some point, also, we saw him on the boat and that whole thing. This will be either I'm going to say...
This is a big second act thing, I think.
This might be...
Like, into the second act. I think this is
mid-second act.
This is the point when he gets publicity, and it becomes kind of an issue, and he maybe warns Peter, like, hey, I saw what you did. Like, he even says, like, people could have died. He's like, but I saved everybody. Like,
here's what I think this is. This is going to be his, either that, what you said, or this is going to be his gimme the suit moment, and then
I think after he gets beat up by the Vultures when he gets the suit taken away.
Maybe, or alternatively, I think it's going to turn out Peter's going to find out Tony's been tracking him in a very invasive way using the suit. So... instead of that, Peter's going to use his old homemade suit, and the final battle will be him in his homemade suit, showing... The theme of the movie is, it's the heroics you do and who you are,
it's
not
Iron
the
Man
technology.
3.
It's fucking Iron Man 3. Yeah, it's that. Which doesn't make it necessarily bad. I think it'll be a fun movie, but I know the entire movie.
Iron Man 3 is a really good Tony Stark movie.
Yeah, I think so. It's a good Tony Stark movie.
I don't really like the last scene. I don't like the third act.
Sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's a good marketing strategy. And apparently people agree because Sony's in the shit right now as far as their film division is concerned. So not only this trailer, but the way they've advertised their previous
every
movies.
division except for insurance.
And PlayStation. PlayStation is helping them actually make a profit.
Are they actually doing good? Well, it took 10 years, but
they're making a huge... Their most profitable division, I think, outside of their Japanese insurance division is PlayStation right now. PlayStation International. So
good.
Yeah.
Good for them. Because I mean, I am a part of the PC master race, and I regularly slum it on the PlayStation. So
yeah. So I don't have a lot to say about it. Think Spider-Man's gonna be good. Just stop spoiling the whole movie in the trailers. And yes, before in the comments someone says, I know there have been studies done that actually show people who know the entire plot of a movie are more likely to go see a movie. I don't care. The general populace are fucking stupid.
I'm real selfish about this.
Yeah, it is. And I know. That is a selfish thing to say. I want all trailers catered to me. Yep, I do. Sorry.
Well, I think this is going to be fine, though, because this is kind of Tony Stark's been the leader of the Avengers since Iron Man. Even if the Avengers weren't a thing yet, you knew this was going to happen. And then obviously Captain America's also kind of the leader. But I don't think Cap's going to be around after the Infinity War. And they're going to have to pass the torch off to Tom Holland and Spider-Man, and I think it's going to work.
I think it's going to take longer than that. I think the next
I think it's going to take longer than Infinity War, for sure.
Oh, but
I think this is the beginning of the torch passing, you know what I mean? It's like Tony Stark is in this movie because we want him linked with Tony. We want him having a similar impact so that he could be the leader guy with all the tech and the...
I think what's going to happen, though, is once Captain America does leave and we need a new de facto leader for the Avengers, I think who's going to step in is either going to be Doctor Strange because Benedict Cumberbatch, or Captain Marvel, who makes more sense in universe, I think, to be the leader.
I don't know. I think Tony will be... How long is he under contract for? He's got a couple more movies.
I think he's off contract. I think he just does this because he likes it now.
Oh, well, I think he'll be around for a little bit, but I think what you can do is there's, depending on the comics you read, there's the Tony Stark getting older arc, and he hands, Iron Spider becomes a thing, and he kind of uses himself more as a political pundit rather than a guy who fights battle. Like, he's in a steel suit or a vibranium, whatever. I don't forget what it's made out of now, but at first it was just steel. But, like, that takes a toll on a body no matter what. He's not a superhero. He's the only one that really doesn't have powers. He's the Batman here. I
think in the comics later with Extremis, the thing that was in Iron Man 3, he ended up getting, like, I think it was called Bleeding Edge armor, and he was able to augment his own body to make him a little bit more than human.
He gets trapped in the armor at some point because of his heart, but I think they already did that, so...
I don't know. Anyway.
In number 2. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. I think the universe is in good hands, but... Obviously, they're not doing anything transcendent. They're making quality films every time. Eventually, it's going to be stuff like Logan and Deadpool that we start gravitating towards, and maybe then Marvel, But
I think Marvel knows its place. I think it knows it's always going to be kind of family-friendly, but not like kiddie movies.
Yeah, I'm
but,
fine with
family-friendly
that, though,
action.
as long as they don't settle into, like, Ant-Man. Like, I can take an Ant-Man in between Guardians and all the other stuff that happens, but I can't take regularly, like, Iron Man 2, Ant-Man, Thor 1 and 2, but Ragnarok looks like it's going to come at big, and I'm excited for Doctor Strange. I'm excited for other Guardian stuff. It all looks... It just keeps being fun, so I'm not tired of it yet. A lot of people are, like, a little blown out by it, but I've always been a nerd, so fuck it. Let's just do it until it doesn't work anymore. Like, Hugo and I's friendship.
Sure. Next, let's talk about Animaniacs. Animaniacs is not only reported to come back, but it's still going to be produced by Steven Spielberg, who did the original not only Animaniacs, but Tiny Toons and Freakazoid, but also one of the original creators of Animaniacs and all those other shows will also be coming on as a producer. Which, if done correctly, I think could be very fun. My favorite cartoons, I think, as a kid were... I liked Tiny Toons more than I liked Animaniacs. I'm going to tell you that right now. As an adult, I like Animaniacs better, though. Jake, did you watch Animaniacs? Were you in that age bracket?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Freakazoid, Animaniacs, Pinky the Brain. What was the other thing? They did another thing.
I mean, they did an Elmira and Pinky in the Brain.
That's the one. Yep. Yeah. So, I don't know. They're all fun. I think they were a little... not for kids sometimes.
Well, that's what I like about it, because as an adult, you can still go watch Animaniacs, and it is a little bit... There's some adult jokes hidden in there, and even the jokes that aren't expressly adult. Let me say this. Even the jokes on Animaniacs that aren't expressly adult in the sense that there's a dirty meaning behind it, because I don't think an adult joke necessarily means...
Sex or fuck you.
Fuck you. An adult joke is a joke that an adult can laugh at, and generally that actually means kids... Or that actually means, like, it might be less poo-poo, pee-pee sexual. It has some clever stuff going on, and I really appreciate that. It's not just fart joke. And some shows are like that, but I think cleverly written shows for kids are necessary. Because if kids just grow up expecting crap from their entertainment, what are they going to grow up to expect, as adults? And Animaniacs and the rest of those that were produced by Steven Spielberg and his team were, I think, pioneers in a lot of ways in children's cartoons that are intelligent too, and I'm sure they weren't the first one, but they're the standout for my childhood particularly, that make you go when you turn to some other channel with a lower budget, lower effort show, why am I watching this? Why don't I want to see something more creative, smarter, better written, better animated? And I think that does set the bar higher, and that's how we got to things like today, where you have so many shows aimed at children or families that aren't just doing the minimum. They're telling compelling stories aimed at younger audiences, but don't talk down to them. Things like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which isn't just one of the best children's shows I've ever seen, it's one of the best television programs I've ever seen in my entire life.
Fucking weeb.
It's made in America. But I know, same category. But I'm not kidding. It's amazing that I can say personally, on my list of like top 10 TV shows I've ever seen, Breaking Bad is on the same list as Avatar. It's insanity. And then you get things now like Adventure Time, which is, I think, just winding down.
Rick and Morty.
Well, that's not for kids, though. But I get what
we're saying for kids?
I was saying for kids.
What?
No, I was talking about...
Breaking Bad is not for... Don't show your children Breaking Bad.
No, but my point was, it's amazing that a show for children I put on the same...
I see.
I put next to Breaking Bad.
That's what I have to say. I'd put Rick and Morty up there. It's pretty close. Sure. Samurai Jack, I hear, is good. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to.
The end... I'm not gonna lie to you. It's
some
a beautiful...
people love the end.
The end of the last season, which just ended, it's a beautiful show, but near the end it gets a little rushed, and it starts to focus on something I still enjoyed it, but I get why some people were like, this kind of shifted focus near the end, and I don't like where it went. But I personally enjoyed it, but I get what people are saying. And then you get stuff like Steven Universe is still on. That's really great. I've heard that show We Bare Bears is good. I haven't watched it, though, but I think that got canceled.
There was that other one that Justin Roiland did before that's supposed to be really good. What is
Gravity
Falls.
Gravity Falls is excellent. Again, that's another show that I still think, great. Whether you're a kid or adult. And you know why I love stuff like this, too? Well, I hate children and will never have them. I can really appreciate that there are shows out there that parents can sit down with their kids and watch, but they both enjoy it equally. That's something you can share together and talk about, and I think that's great. So I am so excited that a show that helped pioneer the quality that is on television for children now is going to be able to rejoin those ranks, and maybe I'm a little over-optimistic, but maybe, once again, they can come and say, hold my beer, let me show you how it's done. And maybe they'll surprise us, and it'll be an even better show than it was. Or it'll be a shitty remake. Crack in.
A cold one open with the boys.
God. Anyway.
Hey, while we're on the topic of shitty memes, what's that white blank space meme mean?
You know what? I don't
meta?
know. I saw that. I think it's just meta. I think the joke is just it doesn't matter. Memes are vacuous in the first place, so I think it's almost a postmodernist meme. It's a comment upon the vacuous nature of ironic memes themselves. It's such a joke, it ceases to exist, I think is the point. Which, people make fun of memes, but, like...
That's pretty smart.
That's kind of a salient point. They're not wrong. Anyway, like, if I put that in I could put that in a pretentious art gallery, just a blank canvas, and title it Memes, and I bet someone would buy it. Anyway.
Let's do it.
Finally, we're going to be talking about Nintendo Switch's online details. Since they announced the Switch, they've talked about they're going to be switching to the paid online subscription model, similar to everyone else in the market, except for PC, of course, because that's not a centralized thing. People kind of grumbled, saying Nintendo has never been able to offer a comprehensive online experience. Why would I start paying for it now? Whereas Nintendo has been saying, well, we haven't been able to offer it now because you weren't paying for it. So it's sort of a...
That's a neat argument to make, but... Their UI has been trash forever.
Yeah.
So, and to be fair, PlayStation is not that much better. Like my PlayStation is genuinely slow sometimes, especially in the store. But the Xbox that I had was fine. So,
yeah, well, on PlayStation 3 at least, I think that was free too, though. But I think PlayStation 4, once they switched over to pay, now the store is still pretty bad. But when I've done online, it hasn't been too laggy.
Well, actually playing a game has been fine.
Oh yeah,
for me. But yeah, I don't know. Just I feel like even their menus sometimes are a little slow, and like stuff is a little slow to load. And that could just be because I have like I think it's a second gen PS4. But still, Nintendo has to like bring the big guns out, and I've been to their Nintendo store, It's not really well put together.
On the DS, because obviously the eShop doesn't.
Sure.
Does it exist on the Switch yet? I guess I haven't checked it out. I'm more familiar.
It does exist on the Switch. That's what I mean. I only have a Switch. I don't have a DS.
Gotcha. I'm only familiar with the DS one. It's not that great.
I've been there,
it's not
and I know they don't have a lot of titles and stuff, but the way they set it up is kind of like what sort by price, what's trending, and it doesn't like have menus and stuff like free. It doesn't feel very comprehensive, I guess is the word.
They're going for minimalism and they're stripping it away to the point of not being helpful.
Yeah, but I don't know. Again, I haven't played online with it yet. Obviously, no one has. So,
well, I think they're doing the beta for. No, people play online. I think Mario Kart 8's online is already available, and I do have.
But I mean, like that's just matchmatching for Mario Kart. Right?
I guess. And I believe
not their whole UI system is. I guess I don't know. I haven't tried it.
The beta for the ARMS multiplayer, I think, is this weekend or next weekend. So they are testing out their network strain stuff.
Sure.
Now. Here's the thing, though. You can complain about Nintendo all you want, but they announced the price. Jake, how much would you pay a month for? And let me go down the list of the things. It's obviously not just the online, but it is online gameplay, so you want to play multiplayer with anyone over the internet.
I don't know. I think I'm willing to go up to, like...
Hold on, let me finish the features first, so everyone gets...
Okay.
All right. They do have voice chat, however, like we mentioned in previous episodes about the Switch, it is still over smart devices, so it's not inherently in the system that you can plug a microphone into. You got to use your smartphone. To be
fair, I prefer Discord over any of them, and that's what I would personally use.
Sure.
But this is supposed to be also mobile gaming, like.
Yeah, and then
let us jack the fuck in.
And then finally, you get that classic game selection every month. You get 3 games that are either NES or SNES, I believe.
And you keep them?
No, that's the thing. You don't keep them. Every month they change.
They rotate out.
Now, how much a month would you pay for this and per year? Assume that you get a discount for the yearly price just as you do when you buy 12 months of PlayStation as opposed to 1 month at a time.
12 months of Xbox Live is what, $99? Like $100?
Yes, and that's a little bit cheaper. I want to say if you bought a year, 1 month at a time, it's closer to
$8 a month?
$130 or something.
Yeah. At most, you're spending $10 to $15. I think I'd top out at around $15
a month.
But I don't think I would do it.
Well, I have good news for you then. It is $4 a month or $20 a year.
That's cheap as fuck.
Yeah, so at that point, I don't even understand why are they bothering. Because here's the thing: if their argument is we need the money so we can put it into developing a better online ecosystem, is $20 a year per person going to be enough to even do that, or are they literally just saying it's the same online experience as it was before? However, we can tell them we're going to improve it and charge them, but only $4 a month, so they won't really get onto the scam. So when it still doesn't work very well.
Well, a lot of people in Japan are probably going to be doing that, like almost everyone. So they're so Japan-centric that I think we got to think of that first.
I wouldn't be, because if you're a Nintendo shareholder, I gotta assume, especially if you're an international shareholder, you gotta be fairly frustrated by their very Japan-centric views and how they often will produce consoles or games or whatever, or amiibos, because they don't foresee the demand, or they feel like they become more an exclusive, high wanted product if they don't produce as much. But consider, as a shareholder, wouldn't you say produce as much as you can sell, period? It seems to me, if I wanted to be cynical and say this is just a cash grab from Nintendo, this is them throwing their shareholders internationally a bone and saying, listen, we're still going to say Japan-centric, we're still going to underproduce consoles, however, we're going to make up for it by charging people for a service that was free before, and we're not really going to put that much of the money that they give us back into the system. That's my cynical view. It's not based on anything other than if you want to look at this the bad way. If you want to look at this the good way, it's Nintendo saying, we really will try and commit to improving the online ecosystem, and we're going to use the money to do it. However, we're not going to charge you an arm and a leg. And they're just taking out, excess profit out of it and just saying, we'll just take as much as will maintain and allow us to improve the ecosystem. I don't know. But what I think would be the better deal as far as the games in the NES and SNES, and I think we've talked about this before, instead of giving us 3 games per month and then taking them away at the end, what they need to do, have this this can even be an extra tier. Instead of $4 a month with what I just listed, maybe have a $10 a month and then have a Netflix of NES and SNES games.
I would pay for that. I would definitely pay for that.
Do you know how much money hand over fist Nintendo would make if they
especially like if I can just like locally download one game at a time, even, or 2 games at a time, and keep that and like forever, however long, and swap it out, kind of like how Netflix used to send you. I think they still do to rural areas to send you actual physical discs, but I do that. That's fine with me. I think like being able to play Chrono Trigger or just Super Mario World or any of the amazing SNES or NES games, Harvest Moon, like I would do that in a second.
Especially considering now we're to the point where the console is powerful enough where you can emulate NES, SNES, and I wouldn't be surprised if you can go up to N64 and still have it look good and not choppy. I think you could get N64 games running really well emulated on the system, and it would be fine. I don't know. I think Nintendo is missing one of the biggest opportunities they've ever had here in providing a streaming game service for their library of first-party titles.
So far, the first 2 months for sure, they had a 10% more sales than the Wii sold, the first Wii, which was a lot of people. Like, everyone was all over Wii's. You couldn't find them for months.
My argument would be, well, I agree with that. It's not an apples to oranges because, well, the Wii did sell initially. A lot of the tidal wave of Wii stuff didn't happen until a little bit later once the grandparents started seeing it and the parents started seeing it and went, oh, I can play Wii Golf with this, and they started buying them. They weren't the early adopters, but once they saw it and it was covered on the news and stuff, it really started to take off.
We'll see what happens. I'll pay for it. I'll try it at some point if I get a multiplayer game I want to try out. I'll just give them $20 straight up for the whole year and see what happens and if I like it. But right now I just have Zelda. I'm probably gonna get a Monster Hunter if it comes out, and Pokemon if they do that. Some RPGs. I don't really like. There's not a lot of multiplayer stuff I'm looking at. Like ARMS doesn't really appeal to me. I don't think I'm not really a big Smash fan.
I am.
Hugo is. Yeah. Mario Kart's just okay for me. It's more of a nostalgia thing more than something I like to sit down and play. I'd rather play it's a Super Nintendo one, but
I'm hoping by next year third parties can start getting on board, because obviously with the higher sales and they're seeing maybe this won't be another Wii U. Maybe we can jump on board. Hopefully they'll be able to get more good third party titles out. But let's say I bought this with zero expectation of third party support, knowing what Nintendo is like and how it's been in the past. But if we Zelda's already one of the best gameplay experiences I've had in the past decade, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm not kidding. It is one of the best experiences I've had playing a video game in a decade.
Oh, for sure.
And if we get that, I got Mario Kart, which is fun. It's Mario Kart. It's a remake of the one for the Wii U, but I didn't play that one, so new Mario Kart to me. I like Smash Brothers. I can't imagine we wouldn't get a Smash Brothers. We're going to get Mario at the end of the year, and generally per console generation we get 2 Zeldas. So if we can get one more Zelda plus those, I think I'd be okay, and a Pokemon would be great. Throw Pokemon in there.
I really want a Monster Hunter. I've always really enjoyed watching people play those games. They seem like something I would enjoy. It's kind of like stripped down Witcher. I don't know, you haven't played that, but and a little more hack and slash. It's kind of a cross between how Zelda, the fighting style is there, and like the Witcher aspect. And then there's like, I don't know, it just seems like a fun game. I'd get one and try it out. And Nintendo's always been good with RPGs, like just classic, really, really good, well-written RPGs. So I'm looking forward to that.
By the way,
I don't know.
There were rumors that the Virtual Console this generation, because obviously we're another generation ahead, they might start not only doing N64 games, but there was a rumor they might be able to do GameCube games. And my first Nintendo system I owned, I had played, obviously, the other ones previously at friends' houses and family members' houses. The first one I owned was the GameCube. So if I could play some Mario Sunshine and like
Pikmin, man.
Yeah, and some Melee on there, on the go, no less.
Honestly, if you give me your back catalog, I'll pay you all the money. That's what Nintendo is. It's really the games. It's never been the consoles. But the Switch plays really, really well. It feels really good, whether you're mobile or it's on a controller. It just feels right, and it feels Like the Wii and stuff and the Wii U, they didn't have it. It feels like I'm sitting on the couch again, N64, SNES in hand, GameCube, and it like even the sticks feel like GameCube sticks almost, the way the tension and stuff. You know what I'm saying? How they click and I don't know. So I don't know. They captured the tangible nostalgia, and Zelda is a home run. So if they keep it up, the new Mario game looks neat. I don't know. I'm not really a Nintendo fanboy, because they failed me so often. But Nintendo is one of those formative sort of. It was almost everyone that I know. It was their first thing. Super Nintendo or Nintendo. It was their first video game, and then it kept going. And so I would love to have that again, if only for a generation.
Yeah. So good luck, Nintendo. We're all rooting for you. It's actually funny because you can go back. It was even just months ago when we were talking about the Switch, when it was like announced or whatever, and they did that. Not announced, but the conference where they kind of actually showed it and everything. I was of the opinion, like, I don't know if it's gonna work. It's like half handheld, half console. What's the point? They're just doing the motion controls thing again. But once I started playing Zelda, I got it. I get it.
It's really tight. The motion controls are part of the game. It's not a gimmick.
For instance, let me explain this. If you haven't played Zelda, you might not know this. And I didn't realize this until I played the game. I didn't know this was even a thing. And then I went, oh, that makes sense. When you're aiming an arrow or something, you use the control sticks like a normal game. But you can also use the controller to like...
It helps.
To finally use the motion controls to have kind of fine precision.
It's like having a mouse. It's kind of the because you know the precision of like a first-person shooter with a mouse, and you're like, oh, I can be much more fine, and that's why a lot of people prefer PC games. It really does help fine-tune it. It feels so good, especially after a little bit, and you can do it whether it's on the TV or not, because the tilts are in the thingies. What are those called?
Joy-Cons.
Joy-Cons. That's stupid.
The fucking controllers. The two Wiimotes.
They're really nice Wiimotes. They're also isn't the console itself like heavier than you felt, but not like cumbersome?
Yeah.
Like I really thought it was gonna be like light and cheap feeling, because it looks like it's cheap. It feels real sturdy. The base feels cheap, I guess, but everything else feels nice. It's got a tactily, they did a really good job with the feel of the clicks and the...
You could tell they were intentionally doing that too, because like when you could tell they were going for, we want to experience that when you pick it up and use it, you go, I get it. And it worked for me, because everything down from when you put the controllers in, it does that click noise, and it's so satisfying. It's an incredibly polished experience. Now, on the other hand, they also made 1-2 Switch, which is one of the worst fucking pieces of shit I've ever played in my entire life.
I don't have it.
Did I tell you about that, by the way?
Did you get it in your... Was it a package, or did you intentionally buy 1-2 Switch?
I rented it because I was watching previously recorded, and they did an episode on it, and it is they said it's the worst fucking game I've ever... It's not even a game, and they are right. This is the worst fucking excuse.
Did you milk the cow?
I did. And by the way,
did it feel good?
The cow one was not the most impressive. I'll explain. But there are people, and me included, who when they were demoing 1-2 Switch had said, why are they selling this as a retail $50 game? Shouldn't this be the built-in...
We said that. We said that on the show.
Yeah. Shouldn't this be the in-box game like Wii Sports? I'm telling you right now, if I had gotten this for free in the box, I would have gone, why did they waste the fucking time to make this? I would have said, why did you charge me extra? Because you must have. It would have been built into the price of the console. I would have said, why is this a thing? It's not only the worst collections of minigames I've ever fucking played in my life. I don't even count it as such. It's terrible. It's awful. It's not fun.
I thought it was just a tech demo. I can't believe they did it.
Right, it is a tech demo. It seems like the kind of thing that someone high up at Nintendo would have their people make. Maybe people who are good at coding but aren't necessarily like creative types, but they know how the technology works. So they're like, okay, make a demo so we can show it to the actual creators, the people who are creative, so they can then make games with the technology. It doesn't seem like a game. It seems like a corporate tech demo. They would show at the shareholder meeting and say, this is the technology we're building on. We can build games with this. It's not a game. It's a tech demo they're trying to charge you a full price for. Now, that said, the HD Rumble is cool. I can see it's a good tech demo. It's just not a game. The audacity.
Okay, so how does that even feel right? They said people kept saying, "Oh, it just feels like right."
It's hard to explain. The one that I was most impressed technology-wise by was a game where the idea is you're holding a box, the controller is a box, and in the box are a random number of marbles, and when you tilt the box, you can feel the marbles rolling around, and you have to guess how many marbles there are.
And that felt real?
That felt real. That felt the realist to me.
That gives me actually really a lot of... This has nothing to do with Nintendo. It gives me a lot of hope for VR and like gloves and how that...
It's amazing. But let me explain, using that as an example, why it's a terrible game. You need to have a box. You can't see how many balls are in it. You roll it around to guess how many balls are in it. You know what I don't know how to do in real life? Fucking that. So that's not a game. It's not something I know how to do or feel accomplished doing. It feels like I'm a jackass rolling around a box. How many balls are in the box? And a lot of them have, sort of, they're all themed for the most part. Oh, crack the safe. Oh, do whatever stupid thing. But then when you get to the end, the further you get, the laser you can tell they're getting with it. To the point where literally one of the games is just set the controller on its side. And I'm not going to be able to explain this very well. Pretend my phone, for instance, is the controller.
Okay.
And this is a table. The game is set the phone on the table, but it can stand up on its own, obviously. This isn't thick enough to do it. And without jostling it too much, who can turn it in a radius the most? That's the game. There's no theme.
Make a perfect circle?
In a circle. Who can turn it on its axis the most without jostling it too much? That's a game. There's no theme. They don't pretend it's like... Because at least the other ones, I can kind of at least see
milking a cow. This one's just literally...
This one's just, use the controller the way we're telling you to do it, and whoever does it better, you win. Like, you can tell by the end, even they were like, ugh. So, if you're thinking about getting 1-2 Switch, or even like I was curious, renting it, it's not even funny bad. Like, it's not get some friends over and play this bad game.
It's not Superman 64.
It's just stupid. It's not fun. It doesn't... You don't feel accomplished when you do anything.
Good.
It's garbage. It is absolute trash.
This turned into kind of a Wii review, but also this has to do with why the pricing of that is so good. Because other than 1-2 Switch, apparently, it's took all the fears I had of the actual console, like the gimmickiness, and obviously they lost my trust for a while. And it made me go, okay, I get it. You pick it up for like 5 minutes, and you're like, I understand. I understand why this is so cool. And seriously, if you have the money and you're thinking about it and you're not pulling the trigger, pull the trigger because it's worth it. Especially if you're like our age and you remember the Super Nintendo and stuff.
I would put a caveat to say if you don't like Zelda, don't bother.
Oh yeah, no, right now don't bother. But wait. Like Mario's going to be good most likely. They're probably going to have Metroid games. They're probably going to have... I think, did they say they were going to do Pikmin again? I feel like they said they were going to do Pikmin.
Well, here's the thing about Pikmin. It's never sold very well internationally, but Shigeru Miyamoto just loves it. It's like his baby. He like...
It's just fucking neat, though. I like it.
So sometimes the games take a while, but they tend to get pushed along because he's always behind the scenes going, hey, let's do another Pikmin, even though they don't necessarily have marketing success.
Yeah. Honestly, if you liked the classic Nintendo stuff, up to the GameCube and... Like you can like the Wii because it has some the motion stuff a little bit, but like...
See, here's the thing.
Seriously, if you liked GameCube and before, you will love this no matter what.
You can tell, too, in the motion control games in 1-2 Switch, you can tell the motion controls are spot on. It's almost one-to-one. So if they did like a Wii Sports 3, because they already did
it would be great.
2, I'd get it. I'd be like, oh yeah, this would be really fun to do golf again, to do baseball, to bowl.
I think they will, too. I think someone, even if it's a third party, will do bowling, golf, baseball.
They should.
Because it will feel good. Can you imagine swinging the baseball bat and feeling it knock so nicely on that? Right, because it really does give you really, really fantastic feedback. Yeah, I don't know. And like throwing a bowling ball and feeling it release a little bit, I feel like it would, or rumbling down the lane and hitting pins.
Yeah, I think why didn't they just do... That would have been such a better tech demo to just do Wii Sports 3. Look at this. Look at what we can do. They might have had another...
You might have had a
Wii situation.
People like us groaning But once we played it, we've been like, oh my god,
and then you would have had
this is what they should have done all along.
And then you would have had the same situation where, you know, parents, non-gamer people might have seen it. And we said before, that audience is gone because of things like mobile gaming, Facebook gaming. I think that's mostly true. But I think if you had done an
this can
upgraded
bring them
Wii
back.
Sports,
It's really that good.
It might have helped.
I can't believe we're raving about this. We were very negative because they had really fucked our trust. But I'm pretty confident in Nintendo going forward, based on the quality of Zelda, the quality of the console itself, and the tightness of all the technology that they... Like, Wii was not tight. I don't think anyone has the illusion that that was like a well-responsed... It always had a little bit of latency, and it never really felt good, but this is not the case anymore. They've perfected it or gotten real close to it to where it's going to be applied in VR for sure. 100%. That's what the technology they use in these rumbles, definitely.
I think it's already it's not exactly the same. I don't know if Nintendo has proprietary patent on any of the stuff, but I think someone's already developed a controller for VR with that in it.
Yeah. I'm saying if you got just like some nice thin gloves, like a thing, like a mesh that you could put over your shirt maybe, and just whatever controllers you want.
I could see in 15 years I could see that being a reality.
And the VR headset?
This is the basis for that, certainly.
Absolutely. And that's not like, you might think I'm being a little hyperbolic or fanboy. I'm not. It's just, it really does work that well, and I can't, until you try it, you don't really... I was very skeptical. I was like, there's no way it fucking works. It works, and whatever. I'm super excited for Nintendo and the future of it, and that I'll play that system until it dies on me.
Sure. So I guess that's it for this week. I would like to say, good for Nintendo, because the best way to shut up critics of you is to make something so good they can't
Exhibit
pretend.
A and B right now.
There you go. I mean, 1-2 Switch is still shit. You guys really, I hope you had a meeting. I honestly hope after that came out, they had a little meeting and said, guys, Come on. So anyway, I think that's it.
Isn't it sad to know that someone loves that game somewhere?
There's gotta be. And hey, if you do, that's great. Same as if you're a person who, like, let's say, is a real big fan of, like, all the Transformers movies. I'm not kidding. I was in a line in a movie theater 3 weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago, whenever I saw Guardians of the Galaxy. And
someone said,
I heard a conversation. They were super excited for the next Transformers, and they had a conversation like, I love those movies. They're so great. And then they're like, the other person was like, I don't know. I didn't like the last one very much. And they're like, it was so great. Did you see that action scene? It was like 20 minutes of just boom, boom. Like, and I realized in that moment, Michael Bay films, to me, what I see as terrible filmmaking and overindulgence by a filmmaker in his adolescent fantasies is a plus to some people. And I got it. I went, people aren't paying to see a bad movie. They're paying to see Boom Boom Splosion, the movie, and they enjoy that. Okay. And that's fine. I'm not making fun of the guy. If you like something I think is stupid, that's fine. But if you try and tell me it's actually, like, quality, no. Anyway, until next time, there you go.
I'm Jake. I mean, sometimes I like off-brand, like, food and stuff. Like, sometimes the store pretzels are better than the rolled golds, you know?
You can, like, filet mignon and still be like, I want a Big Mac. That's fine.
Those are both things that I enjoy sometimes. Although the Big Macs, they make me poop. All
right. Next up, Who Cares? We're going to cover both parts of the two-parter, and next week we're going to be doing, or whenever E3, we're going to be doing live E3 stuff. We're going to be covering the conferences.
And also we're going to be doing Wonder Woman soon.
Yeah. It's all good.
Lots of stuff happening.